Hello, hola, namaste, salam everyone. It's been more than a month since I last made a video blog, and must tell you, a lot has transpired since then. From Australia defeating India in a Border Gavaskar Trophy Test Series after 10 years, to Bangladesh sweeping West Indies 3-0 here in the Caribbean for the first time, Pakistan whitewashing South Africa on African soil for the first time ever in their cricketing history, and now ICC wants to divide Test cricket into two tiers, and I have a lot to say with regards to that. Here are my picks from the Australia-India Test series that recently concluded just last week. Australia's fighting spirit to come back from 1-0 down after losing the first test by a heavy margin in Perth. Jasprit Bumrah's one-man masterclass with the ball for India. The entire series on the whole was dominated mainly by both the teams' bowling departments and not their batters until late in the series. Nitish Kumar Reddy's maiden test match century at the MCG, becoming the first batter to score a century lower down the order at number 8 at the famous Melbourne Cricket Ground during the fourth test. But really, the turning point in the series has to be Ravi Ashwin's unexpected retirement during the middle of the Test series, which was the turning point and India's complete downfall for the last two Test matches. Also, Sam Consta's debut Test match slash confrontations with Bumrah and Virat Kohli. Now, his Test match debut, by the way, was dubbed a blockbuster because he scored a half century on debut. Then, in the last couple of innings in the fourth and the fifth Test, where he got his chance after McSweeney was out of form, he failed. Then also Steve Smith and Marnus Labuschagne returning to form following massive backlash from their very own media, who called for Labuschagne to be dropped after a run of poor form with the bat. And then Scotty Boland's heroics at the SCG, taking his maiden 10-wicket haul in Test cricket. And I gotta say, Australia have missed the trick all the time to have Boland instead of Hazelwood. And Hazelwood, in my opinion, has always been injury prone. He always bowls about 10-11 overs a day, then pulls up, similar to some of the other bowlers. But Hazelwood, no doubt, is a great bowler, but honestly, he has always been injury prone. And Boland is one fast bowler who can swing it both inwards and outwards. But on the whole, Boland's heroics actually was the real reason why Australia went from a position where they would have either lost or drawn the match to a winning position. For me, the star of the series has to be Bumrah, not only because he broke Bishan Singh Bedi's record for most number of wickets taken in a Test match series, but it also goes to prove that he is indeed one of the best fast bowlers currently in the history of international cricket. Obviously, you cannot leave out Travis Head and Steve Smith when it comes to Australia with regards to its batting lineup if you're an Aussie supporter. And then another star who I thought really was very outstanding throughout the series was Yashishi Jaiswal, or should I say Yashishi Jaiswal, who, in my opinion, was truly one of the young guns, one of the young finds in the Indian side that has been the find for India in the last year or two. And furthermore, he's a very aggressive player at the top of the order and can play two ways. He can go after the bowling and can also take his time to get himself settled. Other than Bumrah and Boland, who I mentioned were the stars for India and Australia respectively, you have to say that Australia's Pat Cummins, who in my view has always been underrated both as a fast bowler and in the captaincy capacity, has always proved the haters wrong almost all the time. Remember what happened in 23 World Cup final, where he outsmarted India in front of more than 130,000 people at the Modi Stadium. And more importantly, he was the mastermind that led Australia to a famous series win after 10 years. Now, Australia, mind you, have tried over the last few years to finally end the job, but thanks to his captaincy, they have managed to finally end it once and for all. And Pat Cummins has always said he has always wanted to win a Test series on Indian soil. The next time Australia and India plays each other will be in early 2027 on Indian soil, and it is going to be a bit different because by then both sides may have transitioned to the younger generation, so who knows. Now, with the World Test Championship final already confirmed for both Australia and India, both Australia and South Africa. And speaking of South Africa, the Proteas swept Pakistan in the two-match test series, 2-0 last week. Now, the Aussies should not take the Sri Lankans lightly, as they have to face the Lions later this month on Sri Lankan soil. And in my opinion, the two-match test series between the two teams, this should give the Aussies an opportunity to not only field the youngsters, but give them an opportunity not only to stake their claim for post-WTC campaign, but for the future. As for the South Africans, aka the Proteas, who doesn't have any test matches leading into the WTC final at Lord's Cricket Ground come this June, they'll have to adapt to the English conditions early on. And speaking of which, I've been hearing talk going around that they want to either play a warm-up game or an extra test match leading into the final. Only time would tell, but given the fact how the WTC final is a couple of weeks after the IPL final, and since there's no India this time around, either South Africa and Australia will have the edge. Now, South Africa, mind you, has won a few test series in England in the past, 2008 and 2012 under Graham Smith's captaincy. But this test match between them and Australia, I believe it's the first time in a century that both these teams will be facing each other at a neutral venue for a test match. I don't know what's going to happen, but we'll see what happens come June. And to those who are saying that test cricket is freaking dead, look at the huge crowd attendances throughout the Australia-India series that ended last week. In total, 837,879 spectators attended all 5 test matches. I also must commend Cricket Australia for selling the tickets in advance compared to ICC, who did sell tickets for the ODI and T20 World Cups in India and in the Caribbean and in the US at last minute. And the truth is, what's keeping test match cricket alive not only is the Ashes, but also India versus England and Border Gavaskar Trophy. And had dirty, nasty politics not, or should I say, and had politics wasn't dirty and nasty as it has been for the last 16 years or so, India and Pakistan would have been playing each other regularly, either on Indian soil, Pakistani soil, or even in UAE or Canada, etc. I also want to touch on this foolish talk that's going around with regards to two-tier test cricket, and why I'm talking about this and why I am seeing that it's foolishness. You need to listen to this. According to an article on The Age Australia, Cricket Australia, the ECB, the BCCI and the ICC, along with its new chair Jay Shah, are in talks to splitting test cricket into 2 divisions. Now, the last time talk about two-tier test cricket happened was in 2016, where the then Secretary of BCCI, Anural Thakur, if I remember, he was the man that rejected two-tier test cricket then. And then 8-9 years later, the same old foolishness of two-tier test cricket has resurfaced. Now, the Big Three wants to divide test cricket into 2 divisions. And the reason for that is because the 3 teams want to play each other even more, which I find is ludicrous and bullshit. Someone the other day was saying on social media, beware of Bacchanal. I'm not going to say who it was because I'm not a guy who likes to call out anybody. But this is serious. And firstly, I'm completely not in support of two-tier test cricket, firstly. Why I'm saying it's serious, and secondly, it is absolute stupidity from the Big Three and the ICC. It is very similar to the European Super League when the big European clubs tried organizing it back in 2021, when it turned out to be a complete failure thanks to FIFA's intervention. But this two-tier test cricket will indeed seriously kill not only test match cricket but international cricket. Why? Because having the Big Three in one tier and the rest in tier 2 makes absolute no sense. The reason why they're trying to do this is not only to expand IPL in the future along with Indians owning more franchise leagues globally, but it's to also isolate others from playing with them. Look, for example, with West Indies, for example. They have been in decline for 3 decades and are still faltering in the test rankings. I know they're coming along the 50 overs and the T20 formats, but the truth is, and the bitter truth, they do not feel their best 11 due to main star players preferring to play in the franchise leagues around the world. And another thing you have to look at, it's the finances to play international cricket here in the Caribbean. Whenever England and India comes down, it's always big bucks compared to other teams playing here, which is way less than that. Pakistan, on the other hand, before 10 years ago, they were in serious debt due to being isolated from hosting international cricket because of security concerns in Pakistan. However, they have overcome their struggle despite the fact that all international teams have toured Pakistan, and their neighbors India continue to spread conspiracy theories with regards to terrorism, which still happens on Pakistani soil. But on the whole, it's still a thing of the past. What happens in the past stays in the past. What happens in the present goes forward to the future. Furthermore, these conspiracy theories are just ugly. Other than West Indies and Pakistan, and no offense to BCCI and Indian media, but the truth is, when Pakistan was isolated from hosting international cricket, they had to play all the games in UAE and it costed them millions of rupees. But other than West Indies and Pakistan, who have lost millions of US and millions of rupees over the years and decades, other smaller ranked international teams have had the similar problem. They have been starved of test cricket. Just recently, I've been hearing that South Africa wants more test match cricket, or should I say more 3-match series, because they are getting fed up of playing too much test series. Look what happened a couple of years ago. They played a 2-test series with India, which ended 1-all, and that was a series that India, in my view, should have won 2-0, given the fact that they were a full strength side then and were coming off a brilliant World Cup campaign and have always been dominant, whether it's home or away. Look, for example, this year Sri Lanka is playing, I believe is playing 4 test matches in 2025. And even New Zealand wants to host a 3-match test series with West Indies later down in the year. I don't know about Bangladesh and Afghanistan, but what I do know is that the Afghans, despite all the trials and tribulations, are desperate for more international cricket, despite the facts they have to play their home games either in India or the United Arab Emirates due to security concerns and the Taliban, something that Pakistan was used to till the late 2010s because of the Islamic State. But with that said, I do not want to see any more BS talk with regards to 2-tier test cricket. And in all honesty, I want to see competitive cricket. I'm completely fed up of seeing the big three play each other over and over, and it's an overkill. Look at the rest of the test playing nations who had to suffer because of this. Minus South Africa and New Zealand, the other test playing nations have been forced to suffer. Look, for example, this current cycle of the WTC, which comes to an end in June when South Africa and England plays each other at Lords. There has been a few upsets. Pakistan beating England at home after 19 years on Pakistani soil. West Indies winning a test match down under in Australia after 27 years. And Sri Lanka winning a test in England after a decade. Lower ranked teams can still beat higher ranked teams. And I do not give a fuck who wants big bucks or small bucks, but everyone deserves equality, especially when the big three keeps getting millions and the poor teams, the smaller ranked nations, continues to get less. So with that said, I wrap up this video. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Stay cool, stay blessed, stay safe, and also don't jackass the scene. Thank you.